Every Athlete Matters is proudly presented by Victory Honda of Muncie. For more info, visit victorymuncie.com.
We welcome you into Studio B on the campus of Ball State University for Every Athlete Matters, presented by Victory Honda of Muncie. I'm Jared Matheny.
And I'm Rachel Berry. Every month, the creative storytellers at Ball State Sports Link showcase the best stories in all of Ball State sports, all in one show.
To start us off this month, the Ball State men's basketball team is back in full focus this season, and a new shot tracking system may be the Cardinals' secret weapon. Here's a look at the NOAA Shot Tracker, produced by Peyton Manel.
46, 45, 45, 47.
We're in here with our new NOAA Shot Tracker machine, and you can find it in every NBA arena and all kind of high major universities, and it's top of the line technology in terms of tracking your arc, your consistency of your arc, your left, right, and you're able to then pull up kind of real-time data.
Shows like the green for the shots I made, the red for the shots I missed, and like where I shot them on the court. I can get better on my own. I don't always have to have someone here. I can just hook up the gun here, and then I can get up like 500, 600 shots up in the morning or at night.
47.
We're gonna show
45.
how the NOAA shooting system allows us to get real-time feedback. And we've got it right now that's gonna talk to us after every shot, and it's gonna tell us our arc, okay? And the feedback we've gotten is the perfect arc on a jump shot is 45 degrees, but if you're 43 to 47, you're in the right vicinity in terms of arc, and it's going to give you the best chance of making threes, making shots at a high consistency, a high accuracy. So here we go.
46, 45, 45, 43.
As you guys can hear,
44.
Lucas Croft is right in that sweet spot,
46.
43 to 47, kind of right around
44.
that 45-degree angle as the ball's entering the rim. And what the NBA guys will tell you
45.
is that guys that have that consistent stroke into 43 to 47 are going to be good shooters.
45.
So like after I get done, I can just go into the app on my phone and I can check like after that workout, I can see like the percentage I shot, the average arc on this, like on the workout I had, the average depth of like how I hit it in the rim, and then like the average left, right.
Good hands and feet every time. I think it's a big time investment that we're making in our players, and our player development is, you know, it's the biggest thing to us is investing in our players.
45.
The stat-centered Ball State men's basketball team is certainly trying to find any advantage they can get on the court.
Absolutely, Jared. And one of the new faces on the roster for the men's team is Ben Hendricks. But he hasn't always been focused on just basketball. Here's the story of the Ontario native and former hockey player, Ben Hendricks, produced by Olivia Jansen and Ben Acker.
From a young age, it was hockey, really, for me. So it was practice hockey, play, and watch. And, you know, it sort of was a lifestyle for a while. Hockey is arguably the biggest sport in Canada. And so it was a life, really, you know, waking up at early mornings, getting dressed up in your hockey gear before you get to the rink, you know, my dad helping me out, getting to the rink and then having to get your laces tightened. In Canada, we had a league called the Timbits, and you played basically since you could stand. And I played that from, I don't know, 3, maybe 4 until I was 11, 12. I was playing at if you were to put averages out there, it was like 2 goals a game for me. I was originally a defenseman, and one game one of our offensemen actually got injured, and he couldn't play, and they put me on left wing, and I scored 5 goals that game. There was a game, and hitting was just introduced, and I was taller than everybody, especially in skates, and I would hit high, which is obviously a penalty for me, but people would hit me low, and not in the hip, not in the side, but my knees. And a person can only take so many hits into the knee before the legs give out. And so there was one game I got hit really hard and just got flattened in my knees. My left one really hurt afterwards. And I think after the game I came up to my parents and I was like, I might have to do basketball. I can use my size in basketball. It was very hard to make that decision for sure. It was, like we said, it was my first love, my favorite sport. Even today I love it. I definitely do. But it was keep my legs and play basketball over my height will be huge, you know, or play hockey a couple more years and risk serious injury. I've always liked more physical sports personally. So basketball is basically a complete physical sport. You know, especially in my position, I'm going against guys that are extremely big. So the connection between basketball and hockey is maybe one's skating around and shooting pucks at a net and the other one's running around and shooting a ball at a net. You know, there's similarities with that, and then there's also similarities with the physicality that is required to play the sport.
Dirk Nowitzki, the future.
All of high school is really when I realized that I can actually be good at this sport if I continued with it. We had just beat a team from, I think, Milwaukee, and I get a call after the game, and it was Coach Witt, and he called me. He was like, "Hey, we want to offer you a scholarship to Ball State University." I was caught off guard. I just came out of nowhere. I was like, "Thank you, really."
Good pass to Hendricks, who sends it down. Pick and roll with Croft, freshman to freshman.
You know, I fell in love with him as a player. First time I saw him play, I'll never forget, was in Milwaukee. He was coming off an injury. Didn't play in the first half of the game, and as soon as he got out there, his length and his bounciness, his ability to catch, great hands. From that point on, I made it a huge priority for our staff, but especially me, to recruit him. And then I would say I just had a really good personal connection with him and his family. It kind of felt like a good natural fit pretty early in the process.
At the time, it was I called my coaches, and they were like, "Yeah, you deserve it, really." And Coach Witt's a good person and all this, and so just talking with them afterwards, it's like, this is definitely a really good school for sure. I'm 100% positive we can win the MAC, we can win MAC, and I'm pretty sure we can go into the tournament. We have pieces everywhere. And we're an extremely close team. You'll see very high-level teams that have a lot of skill but no bond. And I believe our team is very, very skilled and very close with one another. So I believe that we are very good, and we will continue to grow as a team and as individuals as well.
We love to see how Ben's life has transformed and how he has moved from hockey now into playing on the Ball State men's team.
And while Ben hasn't been breaking records, at least yet, there are a few swimmers who have gotten things going for this Ball State team in that department. Let's check out the swimmer Ben Andrew, who is making a difference in the pool, in a piece produced by Corey Vervinkt and Rachel Berry.
So my biggest motivation is the element of self-improvement, but at the same time, team improvement. I always am looking for ways to get better, and so that's why I do it. I always want to be better than I've been before. It's not necessarily I want to beat whoever's next to me. It's wanting to improve off of my best.
Number one, Ben is incredibly coachable. The guy is dedicated, committed, hardworking, listens like few athletes I've had the pleasure to work with. But Ben's progress has been steady. He finds a weakness, addresses it, and moves forward. And he's always training hard to be bigger, stronger, faster.
Honestly, going into this last season, when I broke the record, it wasn't necessarily at the top of my list of things to do. You know, I have these time goals in my head, right, that Coach and I will talk about. But at the end of the day, Coach always says, you can't choose your time. You just choose how you get there.
Swimming is not about a time. It's about the person you want to become. It's about the commitment to hard work, the honest evaluation of your strengths and weaknesses, and trying to get better each and every day. In the end, if you do those things right and you get lucky and you hit it on the right day, then great things happen on the clock. But it's the journey that matters, I think.
Mix of drill or swim.
It's a pretty grueling sport, and so if you don't have a team around you that is pushing, pulling, working through it with you, you don't get there. And so the culture of the team is essential, and that enables things like Ben's record to be broken. So the goal is that we're all in this together, and we know that every day.
I ended up breaking the 100 butterfly record at conference. Prelims is when I started to realize, oh, I might be able to get this here today in finals. And so it was kind of going on in the back of my head, but it wasn't something I was, focused on. At the end of the day, I just wanted to, execute the race that we had planned, and whatever happened, happened. And so it actually wasn't until Alec came over and one of my teammates that I realized, oh, I actually broke the record.
I've been here 1 year, so Ben was new for me. Getting to know him, it's probably interesting. You start out a little bit more as a freestyler, and if I would have guessed a record at the beginning of the year, I would have thought maybe a 50 freestyle. Watching his underwater kicking and fly develop over the course of the season, for him to throw that down at the MAC championship meet was exciting, and it was a surprise, and I think it was a thrill for all of us.
Well, it was one of those things when I finished, I looked at the clock and I'm like, all right, best time, that's what I came here to do, that's what I trained for. I was able to get the time that I was looking for, be faster, and then getting out of the water, starting to realize, oh man, there's a little bit more to it than just going faster. It's one of those things where it's like, oh, I guess I've been faster than anyone's been at the school. And so that was kind of a cool moment that I didn't necessarily realize, and that's what a teammate told me. He's like, hey, you just went faster than anyone's ever been here. I was really happy just to go best time, and then to get a record was fun on top of that.
He's a humble guy, and I think it's really just a handshake and a hug, and it's a job well done. I think he sees a bigger picture than just swim times, and just knowing he did his best was enough for him.
They're fun targets to try to take down, and I'm really excited, both individually but also as a team. I think we'll be able to take down quite a few records this season.
I think the idea is we want to be the best, and to do that we need to be Ball State's best team first. And I think when you're setting records, you're kind of making a statement that nobody's done this before.
Incredible work by the swim team, and Jay Agnew getting ready to start his second full season as the Ball State head coach. The team has excitement brewing once again.
And while football season came to a close a few weeks ago, that hasn't stopped junior Bryce Cosby when it comes to his dreams. This SL feature on his incredible journey is produced by Ryan Klimchek.
My name is Bryce. Our opponent is Valley.
Stand up straight, be still.
I want to accomplish to at least score 1 touchdown and to win the game.
Bryce had a strong work ethic, and I think a lot of that came from me just constantly pushing him and just telling him that he needed to be better. We never cut him any slack, and I think he just got used to that, like he was always chasing something.
His desire to get better is so great that, there's nothing that he could physically or mentally do that would ever satisfy him.
Effort, attitude, heart. Characteristics that shape Bryce Cosby.
Next week we've got a good team that we got to play, but I still think we could probably beat them, the Derby City Cardinals.
Bryce was very inquisitive. He asked a lot of questions. He just took an interest to sports very quickly. I don't know where that came from other than I liked sports. His dad, played sports. I'd steered him towards football, I'm not gonna lie, because I like that sport the best. I knew that there was, risk, with injury, but I just enjoyed watching it, so I wanted him to play, and he took to it, and it took off.
She wasn't always gonna give me what I wanted to hear, but more of what I needed to hear. So looking back on it, I was very appreciative of that, and she's just always been that solid rock and foundation in my life.
He has always been way beyond his age as far as his maturity, his mentality, and his desire to do whatever it takes to be great. He is one of those people. Wherever you put him, people will gravitate to him. His desire to get better is so great that, you know, there's nothing that he could physically or mentally do that would ever satisfy him.
The first lesson Coach Peters always taught me was the value of hard work. Even if you're not the most talented person and you don't have great God-given height, you know, weight, talent, that, you know, hard work will get you to where you need to be.
Be the very best that you can be every day. He never shied away from that. There was never a moment where there was friction because I was riding him about something, and I rode him all the time. He's putting in the hours and work and sweat and tears and blood for something that's years away. And he's doing that as a 7th and an 8th grader. So I knew he would be a college football player then.
50-yard touchdown run by number 26, Bryce Cosby.
After excelling on the youth football field, Bryce continued his success at Louisville's DuPont Manual High School. His future was off to a quick start, but in the 6th game of his sophomore season, a broken collarbone sent him to the sidelines.
Once the season ended, my mom, you know, explained to me, if you truly want to go Division I, this is the season to do it. Hearing that message really motivated me going into my junior year.
This is not the worst injury that you could have. You know, he's never had a concussion. At that point, he had never had a lower extremity injury.
My mom was sort of looking at the big picture, knowing that the next season was one of the biggest seasons of my life.
Bryce returned for the best season of his high school career. A school record 8 interceptions and returning 3 for touchdowns, college coaches began to notice, including Power 5 school Virginia. Even though interest was shown, the offer never came.
I feel like you're about to get a scholarship offer and then to not get it due to you not being quote unquote tall enough. It was definitely a sense of disappointment, but at the same time I just try to use things like that as motivation.
I truly felt like he was going to be where he was supposed to be. We just tried to research and say, okay, if you're not going to get a Power 5 offer, we're going to see how many schools need DBs. You know, we didn't want to just send him somewhere where he's sitting on the bench.
If they're not already, they're going to regret not taking him because, you know, what he possesses is something that you just can't teach.
I'm still getting a lot of attention from colleges. I'm still getting the opportunity to make my dreams a reality. So whoever it is, it doesn't really matter at this point. I was just more blessed to be in the situation that I was.
Bryce continued to get attention from Division I schools. He was named First Team All-District and First Team All-Metro following his junior season. On January 18th, 2016, all of the positive feelings towards being recruited were put to a sudden halt.
What's your emergency? Well, it's being called a public health issue claiming the lives of local teenagers.
Metro Louisville's latest teenage suicide victim was a 17-year-old Manual High School football standout.
Jalen was a great kid when it came to football, great athlete. You know, always brought a positive attitude to the team. We rode the same bus. He lived really close by to me.
Jalen stood 6'4". 285 pounds was the number, but they call him a gentle giant. They were friends. They played football together, Bryce and Jalen, but you don't know what kind of impact you're making on people. And I often say a candle loses nothing by lighting another.
That was the first person I think Bryce ever personally knew that died.
Look on his mom's face, you know, walking down the aisle, we were in a church, was like it just looked like her soul was gone. Like she was there, but she wasn't really there. And that hurt and pain that I seen her with sort of stuck with me.
For me, that was an indication it wasn't about me. Okay, I'm in church. I had my kids in church. But this was somebody who don't know you. For somebody who doesn't understand that there's life after death.
This event definitely took me took me by surprise and sort of opened my eyes to some of the deeper issues within kids of my age at that time that I sort of had to pay more attention to moving forward.
He's always said that, that's his motivation to keep going. It did give Bryce some strength ultimately.
Months after Jalen's death, Cosby committed to Ball State, where he would receive the opportunity to play right away. On September 2nd, 2017, he made his first start for Ball State as a true freshman against the University of Illinois.
It was my first collegiate game ever, my first start in college. It's a Big Ten team, it's on national TV. Everyone at home's watching.
Crouch over the middle, intended for Turner, and may have been intercepted after it was tipped by Dudek.
I came up with a big play. It just sort of felt good. Overall, it was just sort of a sense of the accomplishment, just because everything I had been through prior in high school, getting to this point, and now I'm competing on the highest level.
Bryce started all 12 games as a freshman, leading the team in interceptions. But the Cardinals finished the year 2-10 and 0-8 in the Mid-American Conference. The sport that brought him joy was now troublesome.
It was very, very hard. 'Cause prior to my freshman year in college, football had always been sort of my getaway, sort of what I went to, and anything outside of football was causing turmoil in my life. I knew I could come to football and let all that out on the field, and I would leave happy at the end of the day. What used to be like my happy place just became a huge negative space in my life.
His success continued as a sophomore in 2018, leading the team in tackles and interceptions. But like his high school career, the momentum was stopped again, this time with a dislocated knee in the final game of the season at Miami.
I was just running. I seen the ball thrown, I turned around and started running. I took sort of an elongated step, and I just felt it pop like 3 or 4 times.
We just kept trying to be positive and, just take it a day at a time. This is not gonna happen overnight. And so, I think after that, he realized, okay, I'm gonna be okay. Once he got over the pain factor, because he had never experienced any kind of pain like that after the surgery.
Overall, yeah, it can be a very lonely process, but I feel like with the right attitude, when you finish the process of coming back from an injury, you'll be thankful for it at the end of the day.
Bryce finished the 2019 season with 2 interceptions and a forced fumble. Cosby's 2 takeaways contributed to the Cardinals' conference-leading 15 interceptions on the season. Through it all, one thing has stayed constant: a dream, a legacy, a reminder.
I usually write my mom's name, my aunt's name. Rest in peace, Jalen, 502, which is the area code of Louisville. And any message that I feel like is prevalent for the game that we're playing. All in all, those words are just words that bring me back home during the game. If I ever get rattled, if I'm ever not in the right headspace, if I ever feel like things aren't really going the way I want them to, I know on my tape it's always words that'll bring me back home, give me that motivation I need to push when things aren't necessarily going the way I want them to. Because I know one of my former teammates, he took his life, and yes, that was an unfortunate situation, but him being my former teammate, I know with the position I'm in today, me having this platform to be a Division I college athlete, I know he would want me to push through. I feel like it's an obligation for me to give everything I have because there's people who can't.
I really believe that everything happens for a reason, and I definitely think that one of those reasons were so that me and Bryce could cross paths and I could get to know him, could get to know his family, and we could help each other grow as people.
Bryce wasn't the biggest player. Bryce isn't the biggest player, but Bryce worked hard to get where he's at in order to play at Ball State. Bryce never gave up, and Bryce has a tenacity, to want to play football. He has that passion, he has that drive. Thank you for remembering. Thank you for keeping Jalen's dream alive. It's a lot of joy in knowing that Jalen touched somebody's life.
He's been a very good son, and He's never given me any trouble. He's always done what I've asked him to do. Bryce is somebody that he's just so likable. I mean, he's one of those kids that just, he wants everybody to be okay.
I just always wanted to be somebody that teachers, professors, coaches could say, you know, I want my son to be like that. Outside of football, I just always try to be the best person I can be, regardless of what happens in between the lines.
Just a terrific story about Bryce and everything he has had to overcome in his life.
And while our semester has come to an end here as a group of SportsLink, we're not done working on stories quite yet. This is a look at the upcoming story of tragedy surrounding cornerback Antonio Phillips in a story being produced by Jack Kaiser and Quentin Zilke.
Phone ringing. He finally answered, and I could just hear it, like the pain in his voice. In that moment, I was in denial. Definitely in denial. This can't be him. And then, of course, once I got around all my brothers and stuff with the team, they don't even know how much that helped me. I just looked up and kind of imagined him smiling down on me, like, yeah, you got that for me. It's took a lot for me to get here to where I am at this point, and he knew that. I know that. My family knows that. Just trying to do whatever I can each and every day to make that right and kind of live out a dream for the both of us.
That story is certainly one you will not want to miss. Keep your eyes peeled for the rest of the Antonio Phillips story coming in the spring.
Well, that'll do it for this episode of Every Athlete Matters, presented by Victory Honda of Muncie. For Jaron Matheny, I'm Rachel Berry. Be sure to follow us on all social media at BSU SportsLink, and we will see you next time.